Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.
Good day and welcome to Africa Investor Today as we bring you news from the African continent. I'm Zylan. We start today's bulletin with politics and economy. Media managers and scholars around the world will meet in March to thrash out ways of rolling back negative perceptions hindering the continent's ability to attract foreign direct investment. The Pan-African Media Conference will take place on March the 18th to the 19th next year, which will bring together prominent personalities in media, business, government, civil society and academia across the world. Some of the 40 eminent guests lined up to grace the event include the Aga Khan Nobel laureate Professor Wangari Maathai, former South African President Thabo Mbeki, telecom investor Mo Ibrahim, and former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. Zimbabwean Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai confirmed on Tuesday that he will attend a cabinet meeting due on Wednesday following his party's decision to end its boycott of the meetings. Tsvangirai told journalists that he is committed to the success of the inclusive government, stressing the importance of resolving all outstanding issues in the global political agreement. The cabinet meetings, usually held on Tuesdays and chaired by Mugabe, may not be held on Tuesday because Mugabe is not yet available after attending the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit that ended in Egypt on Monday. We'll take a short break and be back after this. Stay with us.
Redefining energy means redefining life. At the Petroleum, Oil and Gas Corporation of South Africa, our commitment to greater innovation and greener fuels has made us pioneers in the field of gas-to-liquids technology. It has also earned us worldwide recognition for producing the cleanest fuels through environmentally friendly processes. That's how we've become the international leader in diesel technology. Through pure innovation, pure energy, pure brilliance.
On to companies and markets now. Africa's biggest cement maker, Pretoria Portland Cement, posted a 40% drop in full-year profit, mainly due to a one-off charge related to a black empowerment deal. South Africa's Competition Commission said separately that PPC had confessed to price fixing as part of a cartel of cement companies, but it would be granted leniency in exchange for cooperation. PPC, which supplies cement to infrastructure projects such as Eskom's Medupi power station, said on Wednesday headline earnings per share for the year to end September fell to 170 cents within its forecast range. More Nigerian companies may soon be listed on the London Stock Exchange if they meet the criteria. Richard Webster Smith, the manager international business development for Africa and Middle East of the exchange, told journalists in a presentation that the London Exchange was already in talks with some Nigerian companies. There are presently 87 African companies listed on the London Stock Exchange. 21 African countries are listed in the main market, 2 on the professional securities market, and 64 on the AIM market. With that, we'll take a short break and be back after this. Stay with us.
Afrexim Bank is Africa's leading trade finance bank, an organization dedicated to promoting African trade through credit, risk-bearing and advisory services. We pride ourselves on having local presence throughout the continent and are committed to extending our award-winning trade and project finance programs to unlock private sector development continent-wide. We invite you to become a part of our vision for a strong Africa in a changing world. If you trade within Africa, contact us to support you.
On to banking and finance news now. National Bank of Kenya's lending to directors and employees as a proportion of its total loan portfolio remains one of the highest in the banking sector. Whereas Kenya Commercial Bank's loans to directors and employees account for 8.2% of its loan book, Standard Chartered Bank 3.5%, and Barclays Bank of Kenya, NBK's loans to directors and employees constitute 14.5% of its loan book, easily topping the leaderboard. A closer look at what appears to be an odd trend for a bank struggling to regain its footing, however, reveals that it's shackles of bad debt that have stifled the bank's capacity to rev up its private sector lending. The Bank of Uganda has today urged commercial banks to revise their charges to provide affordable banking services across the country. The Executive Director of the Bank of Uganda in charge of general duties, Polycarp Musonguzi, says lower charges attract more people to use the bank's services. He also urges commercial banks to use the Credit Reference Bureau to get information about banking services. Zimbabwe's government has failed to attract funding from foreign donors for next year's budget because they feared the money could be misused if the central bank is not reformed. Tendai Biti from Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai's Movement for Democratic Change told Parliament that the central bank had to be reformed to build confidence amongst donors and investors who have withheld critical funding for reconstruction. Stay with us, we'll be back with infrastructure news after this short break.
Africa Investor, the leading African investment magazine, is essential reading for investors in Africa, filled with the very latest in Pan-African investment and finance news. In addition, log on to africa-investor.com to find out more about our exciting capital market, infrastructure and tourism events, and our long-standing investable Africa Investor 100 Index series, which tracks over $600 billion of African equities. Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
And finally, in infrastructure news now, stakeholders in Africa's telecommunications sector brainstorm in South Africa on how to sustain market growth in the face of the current global economic meltdown. About 110 countries and 224 different operating companies are being represented at the 12th yearly AFRICOM conference, an exhibition holding at the Cape Town International Conference Centre in South Africa. Among Africa's telecommunications leaders participating at the summit are Etisalat, MTN, Zain, Vodacom and Orange. Neither the long distance nor the high transport costs is the reason for shunning the Southern Corridor route. Port handling constraints at Dar es Salaam includes delays in offloading, clearing and border crossing at the Tanzanian-based port, coupled with poor infrastructure of the Northern Corridor, are responsible for its failing to beat the competitor Mombasa Port in neighboring Kenya. The Northern Corridor, which is Mombasa to Kampala, is still seen as the most viable route to sea by many traders, given its moderately developed rail and road networks, as opposed to the Central Corridor, which is Dar es Salaam to Kampala, which is longer with poor infrastructure. The Northern Corridor contributes almost 90% of Uganda's exports, and exports with only 1% coming in through the port of Dar es Salaam. Zimbabwe's government won't export diamonds from its disputed Marange diamond fields until it has put in measures to better monitor trading in the gems. The Kimberley Process, a global body created to curb trade in gems mined to fund conflict, on November the 5th decided not to suspend Zimbabwe's membership, saying it supports the nation's attempts to work towards compliance with the group's requirements. And with that, we wrap up today's bulletin. Do log on to our websites at www.africa-investor.com for more news on this. I'm Zylan. Chat tomorrow.
Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.